Welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian, and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Budapest here in Central Europe. I hope everybody has had a fantastic week. Looking back, proud of your achievements, and looking forward, ambitious about the weekend, staying healthy, staying strong. In this class, everyone, we are looking at a task 2 writing example. This is a members chat class. Of course, everybody is welcome to watch. It's a good idea to watch because after this class, we will continue this writing task 2 question in today's everybody chat class. That will be in about 90 minutes. So in this class, we are looking at understanding the question, planning our answer, and writing the introduction. And then in the following class, we will look at how to write the body paragraphs and the conclusion. Of course, this material is coming from aehelp.com for academic IELTS success. Please visit us there. And for the general version of the exam, check us out at gieltshelp.com. That's general IELTS help.com. On both of our websites, you will find loads and loads of useful materials. I'll just quickly show you what they look like. This is aehelp.com here. And I'll show you what the general IELTS one looks like. aehelp.com has this blue background, and you can click that big red button there to join the premium package. And then the general version is at gieltshelp.com. Sorry, it's a bit bright when the screen is white. But anyway, it has this green background. This is gieltshelp.com. And then you can click that big green button there. Or sorry, red button to join the premium package. Okay, so students, if you have questions, don't be shy. Send me an email, adrian@aehelp.com. I will gladly answer your inquiries as they arrive. Hi, Rajveer. Hi, Abhishek. Hi, Puneet. And hello, Ashraf. Nice to see some of our members joining in. Today's class, the question I believe was requested by one of our members a couple of weeks back. And now we finally had a chance to get to it. So let's take a look at this, okay? So we will finish this question today, the whole essay. Here is the actual question. So maybe let me make this a little bit bigger. Is it size 15? All right, it's big enough then. Okay, so let me just do it this way. So here we go. Here's the question. First step, when you get to task 2, always do task 2 after task 1. Don't do task 1 or task 2 first. Do task 1 first. So this is task 2. I believe this was in a former IELTS exam, the actual question as well. This could easily be a question in the general or the academic version of the task 2. Okay. So let's read this. IELTS task 2 writing. You should spend about 40 minutes on this task. Many students do not choose science subjects in university. Discuss the reasons for this and its impacts on the community. You should write at least 250 words. Okay, 150 is for task 1, so write at least 250 words. Keep in mind, students, that that's the minimum. Most band 7 to 9 essays are more than 250 words. They are closer to 300 words. Okay. Try not, if you're doing the paper-based exam, be careful not to write in really big letters because you do have a fair bit of space, but if you write with really big letters, you might find yourself not having enough space in the paper that's given. Okay, so don't write with giant letters. All right. Hi, Dr. Krishna. Hi, Hassan. Hi, Oas. Okay. So we've read the question. Now we want to make sure that we can understand this question. So let's paraphrase it. Okay. So a paraphrase this question in your own words, just to make sure that you understand it and also to gather some valuable vocabulary. So, in your own words, try to paraphrase this as much as possible. Make sure all of the information is included. Don't add information. Don't subtract information. Okay? I'm going to do the same. So, all right. Rajveer, very nice, fast, good fluency. So Rajveer says, certain pupils do not opt for science subjects in university. Explain the causes of this phenomenon and its implications on the society. Very nice, Rajveer. Abhishek says, several pupils do not opt for science topics in academy. Converse the explanations, explain this and its effects on society. Converse the explanations, Abhishek, is awkward English, so careful. Dr. Krishna says several students select other than science subjects in their higher education. Give the causative factors and its effects on society. Good, Dr. Krishna, that works. Okay. Puneet says it's been noticed that many students choose subjects other than science in university. Discuss the impacts on society. Will be discussing is kind of awkward, Puneet. I don't know who else is discussing. It's you, the author, that is discussing this. So careful. Make sure that you focus on natural English as well. Here we go, students. So this is what I wrote. Lots of pupils avoid choosing science majors in university. Obviously, people who choose science subjects in university, we're likely talking about students who are majoring in science, okay? Explain the motivation behind this. So the motivation is the reason, right? Our motivation to do or not to do is the reason, and the way that it affects society. Okay, so that's my paraphrase. Pupils is definitely another synonym for students. So if you don't want to overuse the word students, pupils is a good way to paraphrase. The other way, of course, that you should think of, because you might be using the word students a lot, so think about other words like pupils and learners. Okay. All right. Academics, in this case, would also be good as well. Beckjan says, a lot of pupils do not prefer science to study as a major at academic institutions. How does this impact the community, and what are the reasons? Good. Ashraf says, many students prefer business and law because they find it easier after graduation. Ashraf, that's maybe the argument or the reason, but it's too specific. And because you're trying to jump to the answer, I think you're missing an important part of the picture. Okay? Hassan, scholars is a good way to paraphrase students as well. Yeah, absolutely. Especially in university, students can be referred to as scholars. Yeah, scholars. Very good. So learners, scholars are other ways to say students. Okay, show that lexical resource so you can get a high mark for that. Okay, so what are we talking about here? Okay, what's the topic? So let's identify the topic and the controlling ideas in the question. While you do that, I'll read a couple more. Ois says some students do not use science, do not learn science in post-secondary education. How may this affect society, and what are the reasons for it? Always don't forget that other part, right? So what are the reasons and how may this affect the community? Okay. All right. Hassan says the topic is studying science. Ashraf says the topic is studying science as well. Science, it looks like all of you are thinking that it's science. It's interesting. All right. So, okay, sure. Topic, science. Okay, and what is the controlling idea? So if the topic is science, then what is the controlling idea? What is the controlling idea here? You should be thinking reasons for avoiding it plus effects in society. Okay? So reasons for avoiding it plus the effects in society. Okay? Science knowledge is one of the topics here for sure, but I would also say that another one here is university students. We're not just talking about scientific knowledge, but we're also talking about university students as well, right? So the question specifically asks in university. It doesn't say in high school or college. It says in university as well. So we are talking about students and science. Okay. All right. So let's quickly go to the planning. Okay. This is the type of essay question again, and we've had a few of these in the past couple of weeks where you really need to plan. Okay. So what is the first question that I should ask myself here when I'm planning my essay? Okay, so for a good essay, you must plan and you must do some critical thinking. Meaning you have to ask what, why, and how about the topic and controlling idea. Okay, so don't try to jump towards the answer right away. Yeah, so what is a science subject, Bekjan? Absolutely. So question number one is a science subject. Okay, sure. So what is a science subject? What's an answer to that? What are considered sciences? Okay, this will actually be very good for many students who are planning to do university in an English-speaking country because you're going to get a good vocabulary base around some of these majors and around some of these bigger categories of the way knowledge is divided in university. So what is science? Okay, can you give me some answers to that? What is science, or what is a science subject according to university? So let's keep the question in mind here. Okay, what is a science subject according to university? Now this is tricky, right? Because you have to make sure that you have the same definition for your reader as for the writer. So here the background and the introduction is going to be very important to get a good essay with high level of coherence. So what is a science subject? So Ashraf says it's knowledge and understanding of nature and the social world. Yeah, it's actually divided into two categories. So there are two categories: natural sciences and social sciences. Okay. So what are natural sciences? What is included under the domain of natural sciences? Okay. So here the what, why, how becomes very important, and I think this will be, again, useful in other domains of your life as well as you're doing your studies abroad. So Rajveer says subjects where students systematically study the structures and behaviors. Okay, that's a fairly good definition, Rajveer. Dr. Krishna says science is an important knowledge and theory behind mechanisms of living beings or machines. Okay, so Dr. Krishna says natural sciences include biology, botany, anatomy. Botany and anatomy are subdomains, Dr. Krishna, of biology. So botany is plant biology, let's say. Anatomy, physiology, those are, again, so, but biology is, so biology, physics, mathematics are included here, chemistry. Okay, without going overboard. So natural sciences include biology, physics, mathematics, chemistry. Those are kind of what we know as the natural sciences. And the social sciences, what are those? Okay, and again, if you're planning to do your bachelor's in the UK or in the US, Canada, this is what you really have to think about when you're choosing what to learn. So natural sciences are these. When you learn a lot of natural sciences in university, you get what's called a BSc. It's a Bachelor of Science. Okay. And then what else? What do we have in social science? So what is considered a part of social science? Okay. Social sciences would be considered as psychology, which was my major, also sociology, and political science. Okay, to name a few. So those would be considered your social sciences. Economics, Abhishek, that's right, is another one. Okay. All right. So those are considered social sciences. All right. So what's the next question? Okay. So remember this, okay, in the future. This is good information to know just generally, aside from this task 2 response. So science subjects according to university, there are 2 kinds, natural sciences and social sciences. Natural sciences include biology, physics, mathematics, chemistry. Social sciences include psychology, sociology, political science, and economics, for instance. Okay. All right. Law, Andy, is also included there, absolutely. Okay. What's the next question? Yeah, so why do people study these? And what's the answer? So why do people study sciences? Why do people choose to study science subjects? And once we think about that, we'll probably realize the opposite here as well of why people choose not to study these. Okay, so why are sciences important? Why do people choose to study sciences? What do you think? Okay. So Jaswinder says for experimentation leading to innovation. Sure, I definitely would agree with that, Jaswinder. I think that's a very clever answer. Hassan, very nicely put. So people study it to understand how the world functions in order to understand the way the world functions. Okay. What else? I think there are a couple of other important reasons. Yeah, Andy, to understand the nature of things, so how things work. Okay. Okay, Beckjohn says to teach others after graduation. I think, Beckjohn, that's applicable to all knowledge. So regardless of whether we're learning science or not, that's applicable to all knowledge. Okay. I do believe that there is one other reason, or a couple other important reasons. So, Beckjohn, why do you study math? I know that you study a lot of math. Why do you choose math? Think about yourself, okay? One way that you can come up with clever ideas for your task 2 essay so that you have some good writing is think about your own life. So think about, what did I choose for university? Why did I choose it? And what is the value of my major? Okay? Okay, so Janelle says for career paths. Yeah, arguably sciences lead to career paths a little bit more frequently than non-sciences. Okay, so to have a high degree of employability. Okay. How's that for a word form for the day? So you probably know the word employ, employment, employer, and you might not know this, but you actually have this word form as well, employability. It means how easily you can be employed based on the knowledge and skills that you have. Okay, welcome, Puiti. So, yeah, to have a high degree of employability, arguably people who study sciences have a higher degree of employability. They can find jobs easier than people who don't, or earn money easier, okay? All right, let's see. Beckjohn, did you answer that question of mine? I'm hoping that you came up with that one other... Yeah, Sammy, good. Interest in a particular subject, so interest in talent. Okay. So I'm guessing, Beckjohn, that one of the reasons you like to study math is because you're good at it. You're good with numbers, it jives with your thinking, you're talented, and it works for you. Okay? All right. So those are the reasons. How does science work? So how does science work? What is the foundation of science? And everybody should be able to tell me this. And if you can't, it's okay. It's not like I was born with this knowledge either. Psychology, which was my major, focuses a lot on these types of questions of what is science, how does it work? Okay. So what is the basic principle of science? Why do we call one subject science and the other subject not science? So what's the great divide? What is the cornerstone or the pillar of science in university? And I think it was Abhishek that was right there. That's okay, Puiti. You're in the class now. You can join all of these classes later on, so it's great. So Jaswinder says it's based on certain laws, such as the law of gravity, cause and effect. Yeah, Jaswinder, so you're on the right track. So the question is, how does science establish itself? Okay. And how do students, of course, choose sciences? That's a simple one. The point that you should think about here is, yeah, Rajveer says science works on certain principles. It works on what's called empirical evidence. So science is based on empirical evidence. Okay. Empirical evidence there it is. Empirical evidence. Okay. So it's this word here. Keep this word in mind. Okay. I think I might have mentioned it in some classes in the past. everybody knows what that means, empirical evidence, what the definition of that nice little collocation is. So what is the meaning of empirical evidence? This is the foundation of science, right? So that's the definition, right? Yeah, exactly, Andy, based on experiments. So empirical evidence shows that it is proven to be true through observable experimentation, okay? That means that you create an experiment with a hypothesis, you prove that it works or that it doesn't work, and then you prove it again and again, and that's the foundation of science. Okay, good. So I realize, viewers and members, that I go really far down this rabbit hole with these task 2 questions during this planning stage, and I know that some of you are thinking, hey Adrian, come on, we've got 40 minutes in the IELTS exam for task 2. Do you really expect me to do this, okay, in my planning? The answer is somewhat, okay, so somewhat. If you are really going for those high band scores, those band score 8s and 9s, then yes, in the IELTS you do have to do much more than just showing your English level. You have to have about 3 to 5 minutes of planning where your brain goes through all of these concepts and basically discovers these important ideas before engaging the essay. Okay, so that you have some really good content for the essay. Is that clear, members? So I know it seems like it's a lot, but just imagine that you're doing most of this in your head when you're sitting for the exam, okay? And it will make sense as we get into this essay writing as well, why we need all of this content, okay? So here we've thought about science, so then what else do we need to think about? So before I start my essay, what else should I think about in my head here really quickly? Okay, if I ever get lost, if I ever feel like maybe I'm just starting to think about topics that or ideas that are too far from the question, then I just go back to the question and just take a quick look at it again. Many students do not choose science subjects in university. Discuss the reasons for this and its impacts on the community. Okay. So Beckjohn says, sorry, sir, I couldn't understand the difference between science and other majors like engineering or doctors. Well, Beckjohn, engineering and doctors are mostly science subjects. Okay. So Jaswinder says, start thinking about the controlling idea. Abhishek says, think about the cause and effect. Okay. Rajvinder says, why do students not opt for science subjects? Ask that question. Rajvir, even before I would ask that, I would probably ask, what are non-science subjects? Okay. So it's important to be on the same page, because just imagine, Beckjohn, that you write an essay where you say, well, people are choosing engineering instead of science subjects. You would write a very confusing essay, Beckjohn, because in fact, engineering students learn a lot of science subjects. Engineering students have to learn math, physics, chemistry. Those are basics for engineering. So engineering students are highly involved in science subjects. So if you wrote, well, engineering students aren't learning science subjects, you'd be in big trouble. Okay. All right, Samuel, very good. So Samuel Sadir says, think about fine arts, okay? Fine arts, such as literature, music, dance, art, history. Okay. All right. Those would be considered. Law and economics, Natalie, are actually part of social sciences, as we've mentioned. So Samuel says, well, think of fine arts. Those are clearly non-science subjects, such as literature, music, dance, art, and history. You don't have to have empirical evidence for these kinds of topics, okay? They're created differently. Good. Okay. All right, good. Okay, so now we're on the right topic. And Rajveer, now we would want to ask, why do people want to learn these? So why would students want to learn these instead of science subjects? Okay. Yeah, so religion, topics about spirituality as well. There is a word for that, Ois, for religious studies. It's not coming to my head, but there's a specific word for studying religion, which falls into this as well. If somebody thinks about it, let me know. If I see it, I'll tell you it's the right one. Okay. Theology, there we go, Sammy. Thank you. Yeah, theology. Yeah, would be one as well. Thanks, Sammy, for helping out my brain. Okay. Why would people want to study these? Samuel says it lacks jobs, less monetary benefits, require a lot of work. But why would people? So those might not be reasons why people want to learn these, Samuel. Why would people want to learn these subjects? So why would people choose these instead of choosing science subjects? So what's the reason for it? I mean, it might be the same as for science. Okay. So Abhishek says because they're challenging. I don't know. Yeah, Samuel, very, very good. So they're talented in these areas. It's their passion. Okay, so they're passionate about these subjects. Okay. Oh, it's very good. Expressing personality and spirituality. What are these subjects used for? Okay, so now we can kind of start thinking about the next question too, right? So how do these majors impact society? I'd love to see or hear or read your answers for this one, okay? Yeah, so we've gotten the self-expression. They're talented in these fields as well. Okay. So Samuel says, motivate community through art and speech. Okay, so motivate society through art and speech. Capture the human condition. Evoke emotions, right? What do people who dance do? Yeah, Bekchan, very good. Entertainment, right? So, entertainment for the community. Okay, good. All right. So, now we have the right idea. Now we can write a clear essay, okay? Keep this in mind, students. So, discover, okay, sure. So you're getting some really good ideas now, right? So discover abstract parts of existence. Okay, I'm sure. All right. So now you have clarity. Students, the reason why I did this, so the reason why I went so far into exploring all of these ideas is because you must have clarity before you begin writing, okay? You must never start your task 2 essay in the IELTS until you have clarity of what you are writing about and how you are writing about it. The worst is when I see students who have fairly good English skills write a task 2 essay, and I can see that they didn't really think the question through. They didn't really plan the question before they started. And their essay, even though it has good English, vocabulary, and grammar, doesn't make a lot of sense. And if the essay doesn't make sense to the writer, for sure it will not make sense to the reader. And even if you have good vocabulary and good grammar, you're not going to get a very good band score if your essay doesn't make sense at all. Okay, at best it will get a 6 or I don't even want to say 6.5. At best it will get a 6 just for having good vocabulary and grammar, but they won't give you more than that because it doesn't make sense. Okay, so you have to have that. All right, and this is a typical question where it would be really easy to get lost in the essay without planning. Does that make sense? So be very, very careful. Okay, be very, very careful. This is why no matter how easy a question looks, you definitely want to go through the steps of critical thinking, visualizing, and planning before you begin. Okay? So writing a confusing essay is one of the worst situations that you can get into when you have good intermediate English skills. Okay? All right, good. Everybody's got that. All right. Okay, so based on this information that we looked at, we can now create our thesis statement. Okay, so when you're thinking about your thesis statement, again, think of the original question. So many students do not choose science subjects in university. Discuss the reasons for this and its impacts on the community. Okay, so write a thesis. It could be 1 sentence, 2 sentences. Don't overcomplicate it. So do not overcomplicate it. All right, you're not writing a book. You're not writing a 5-page paper. You're writing about 1 full page or 1 page and a bit. Okay, so give me a thesis statement. I want to give you a head start, and then I'm going to do the same. So why do people choose not to learn science subjects and in university, and how does that impact society? Okay, it's not your opinion here, Samuel. There's no do you agree with this or disagree with this. It's not a part of this question. Okay, there's no agree or disagree. Okay, these are 2 open-ended questions. Question number 1, what are the reasons students do not choose science subjects in university? Question number 2, how does it impact society? There are 2 open questions. Okay? It's kind of like a cause and effect essay, but it's a little bit trickier. Again, I keep choosing these challenging question types where it seems simple, but it's not so much. So there's no opinion here, right? Okay, let me go back to the question again. All right? It simply says, many students do not choose science subjects in university. Discuss the reasons for this and its impact on the community. This is arguably a third-person voice. There's no first-person opinion at all here. Okay, you should write at least 250 words. All right? So it's definitely a persuasive essay. I would say it's a third-person author voice. And you're answering 2 open questions. Okay. Okay, so a few different ways to go about this. I'm very curious what you come up with. Sammy says, most students do not choose science subjects. It would definitely affect society's development and also future generation. That's part of the response, Sammy. So I don't see why they do not choose sciences, okay? So Dr. Krishna says, several students prefer to study subjects other than science because their interests in other sectors have borne talents into the field of arts, which helps take out the abstracts from society. Okay, Dr. Krishna, good. Your ideas are good. You have to be careful with your grammar there a little bit, okay? So your sentence structures are a bit off. But your ideas are good. Jaswinder says, mostly pupils do not prefer to have science subjects after post-secondary education because their interest in betterment of society affects in terms of. Jaswinder, kind of the same as with Dr. Krishna. You have some good ideas, but you need to organize it better. Okay? Rajveer says, a lot of pupils avoid choosing science majors in universities because of their skills and passions. Yeah, very nice, Rajveer. So that's the first part. It may have some negative effects on society, but it has some positive effects as well, as students both entertain and motivate people in their communities. Very nice, Rajveer. Very, very nice. Yeah, and you corrected the word passion. So Rajveer has a very good thesis. It's quite close to what I just wrote as well, or actually it's quite the same, just in your own words. Very good. Ois says, sure, it is important that non-science study for society and people, and some study the science topics in university, both in fields affects society to develop. Ois, that's confusing. You have to rethink it, okay? You might have clarity in your mind, but you need to express it more clearly. Okay, Ashraf says, most students prefer non-science subjects because they are well-versed in these subjects and also their passion towards it. Okay, all right. Okay, so yeah, some good thesis statements coming up. I wrote kind of the same as Rajveer, kept it a little bit shorter. The main reasons that many students choose art subjects rather than sciences is because of their talents and passion in life. Although this may have some negative impacts on society, the overall effects are positive. Okay, and I didn't include entertainment and motivating people or encouraging people, but I'll do that in my second body paragraph. Okay. All right, so let's have a hook for this. So let's do the introductory paragraph together. Okay, and that starts with a hook. So I'll write a hook, you write a hook. Again, it's science subjects, okay, versus non-science subjects, all right? All right. Dr. Krishna says, university education decides the future. I like it, Dr. Krishna. I went a little bit more specific. I said science is only part of university studies. Okay, so we're kind of on the same page. All right. Okay, and then we go with the background. So keep writing these elements, students. I'm going to write them, and you write them as well. Now for the background, we write the definitions, right? All right. So there's my background of definitions and importance of the question. Okay. Jaswinder says science is one of the major subjects of university education. Okay. Not just major subject, Jaswinder, but it's science is one of the main domains of university education. Okay. Science is one of the important knowledge in university education. Andy, absolutely. You don't need the S on knowledges, okay? Just science is one of the important knowledge in university education. Good. All right. Keep writing. So this is what I have for my hook and background. Science is only a part of university studies. When students enter post-secondary education, they need to decide whether to learn natural or social sciences or fine arts. This critical choice in their development and education has a major impact on their future lives and contributions to society. Okay, that's my background. And then all I have to do here is just copy in my thesis. Okay, how many words is that, if you must know, for the introduction? It's about 84 words. Okay, all right. Rajveer says students have to decide whether to learn sciences or art subjects in their higher education. Okay, good. Yeah, Rajveer, that's for your background, I'm guessing, and it's working nicely. Hassan says there is always a debate among students to study sciences or non-science subjects at university. However, some follow their passion while others want to get better jobs in the future. Okay, good, Hassan, I like it. I think you're kind of getting into the thesis, Hassan, so the motivations, the reasons for it, but it's okay, all right? You still have some definitions there. Sammy says several students choose science subjects to improve their knowledge, which is a benefit from themselves as well as society. In fact, there are colleges which specifically focus on science subjects. Sammy, I think you're going off topic. Don't forget the question. One good kind of test to do, okay, when you're practicing at home is read the question, then read your introduction and check if it is specific and answers the question accurately. Okay, so let's do that. I'll show you what I mean, okay? So here's the original question. Let's read it. You should spend about 40 minutes on this task. Many students do not choose science subjects in university. Discuss the reasons for this and its impacts on the community. Right away. Science is only a part of university studies. When students enter post-secondary education, they need to decide whether to learn natural or social sciences or fine arts. This critical choice in their development and education has a major impact on their future lives and contributions to society. The main reason that many students choose art subjects rather than sciences is because of their talents and passions in life. Although this may have some negative impacts on society, the overall effects are positive. Okay? If I read the question and then I read this introduction, does it seem like we are discussing the same question or not? What do you think? And does it seem like I will be specifically explaining the answer to this question? That's what you have to ask. Okay? So that's what you need to check. And the more accurate you are, the better your essay will be, the higher the score will be. Okay? All right? Okay, now all of that planning that we did, so yeah, I agree. Thank you for confirming that, Rajveer. So all of that planning that we did about what are non-science subjects, how they contribute to society, that will all become very, very useful in the body paragraphs and the conclusion. And we're going to use those right away in the next class. So coming up in about 30 minutes, we'll continue this essay with the body paragraphs and the conclusion. So all of this information will be very fresh in our minds, and we're going to get right into the body paragraphs, okay? Now, notice one last point here. So when you write cause and effect essays, sometimes you might have a cause and the effect in one body paragraph, and then cause and effect in another body paragraph. But here, the cause and the effect are clearly separate. So here, body paragraph 1 will be the causes, and body paragraph 2 will be the effects. It doesn't make sense to combine these, okay? We'll talk more about this in about 30 minutes, and hopefully I will see all of you then. For now, I'm Adrian, signing out from Budapest. See you soon. Make sure to visit us at aehelp.com and gieltshelp.com for lots and lots of IELTS help. Okay? Bye for now.